From VTV Channel 6 Studios in downtown Vernal, this is Local Point with your host, Chris Piner.
Welcome to Local Point, brought to you by Ashley Regional Medical Center. I'm your host, Chris Piner. Joining me in the studio, we have Don DeCamp and Derek Larson, both representatives for the Boy Scouts of America. It's always good to have fellow Scouts in the studio.
Thank you.
Welcome, you two.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
So let's just talk. I got to ask you something right off the top here. Your shirts are different colors. This color I'm familiar with. What is the significance of this? Is this new? Or?
Well, the color that you see here on the left is typical of what you'd see in a troop or a team in the Boy Scouts of America. You also see it in Cub Scout packs. This shirt here is the venturing program, which often runs from youth ages 14 to 20. So they would wear something to this fashion if they chose to do that program.
So it's a separate program under the umbrella of the Boy Scouts of America?
Mm-hmm. Just like Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, Varsity Scouts, and Venturing, each are under the umbrella, but they focus on different age groups.
I see. Derek, is that something you were involved in? Is that why you're wearing?
Well, as a district executive, I serve over all units locally, so I promote all units. Oftentimes I'll wear different uniforms to promote those things. I've got quite a few.
Well, that's great. Yeah, this is one that I wasn't familiar with, but that's pretty sharp. Hide in the Woods pretty good with that anyway, right? This is the one that I wore, something like this. But I didn't have quite all the fancy things that you have on here.
You weren't involved quite as long as I have.
Not as long, maybe not as long. Well, I always love to have the Scouts on here and representatives of Boy Scouts of America. We've had them on the show many times before. Don, were you also a Scout?
I was. I began when I was 8 years old in a Cub Scout pack. My mother was the leader, and except for the 2 years I served at LDS mission, I think I've been directly involved one way or the other all those years.
So you've got to love the program.
I completely endorse it in every facet of my life.
You almost have to, don't you? I mean, I think the best leaders do, and those that have a love for it, boy, they just pass it on to other Scouts. I had that same kind of experience myself. So Scouting's had a strong impact on both of you. And now you're not very old. I'm probably older than you, I would think. So how long have you been involved in Scouting?
Well, I'm 27, so I've been
much
involved
older
since
than you.
I was 8 years old, same as Don.
You did the same thing then.
And got through majority of the program. Scouting had an impact on me that allowed me to fully embrace the program. I grew up in a broken family, which is more common these days. My father was not the best role model that he could be, so I needed something that would guide me to become, a trustworthy, a loyal, helpful, friendly person that can go out there and make a difference in the world. And Scouting to me was in a way a father figure, where I could look up to my leaders.
The program overall then became that way.
Exactly.
Wow. And I imagine the Scoutmasters and other leaders fit in that. It kind of happened for me too, so I can relate to that completely. Yeah, I love the Boy Scouts. All right, well, today we're going to talk about some things that are coming up, a little bit about Roundtable. You're going to talk to me about that, and the Friends of Scouting program. Let's start with that.
Okay. The Friends of Scouting program has been around for a while. Essentially, it's the title we give to the annual fundraising campaign that the Utah National Parks Council will hold. Locally, we normally kick off around May. We invite families and businesses and others that would like to give to Scouting locally the opportunity to donate. Basically, what Friends of Scouting is we do our best to get out and educate people about the program and let them know that we are in need of their assistance to bring to pass the changes that all of us have seen in Scouting. The changes in those boys. So as we go out, many volunteer to go out and ask those individuals throughout the entire valley to essentially learn more about Scouting and to put forth their hand and give to the program. And essentially that's what funds the council and funds professionals like myself, funds local agencies, and all the programs that you see, the camping, the training, things like that. Friends of Scouting goes to essentially keep the program moving. And those that give generously are truly Friends of Scouting. So we're grateful for that.
All right, and so that's just done. How is that done? If people want to donate, what do they do?
You know, we will send out young men and their leaders to basically saturate the communities in the next month or so. So chances are very well that somebody will knock at your front door and say, Chris, are you
to be a friend of Scouting.
We
Yeah.
would, and ask for their donations. It works out very, very well. Businesses are always admonished to come to the Scout office. We have a lot of businesses that prefer to remain hidden, but at the same time write out lovely checks.
Right.
And they are appreciated.
Well, that is good to hear. I think we probably have a little bit more to talk about with a roundtable, so we're going to get back to that in just a moment after we take a quick break. We'll be right back after this message from Ashley Regional Medical Center.
Hello, I'm Cy Hutt. I'm the CEO at Ashley Regional Medical Center. You know, these days you hear the word quality a lot in advertising, but there's a big difference between talking about quality and practicing it. At Ashley Regional Medical Center, quality means two things.
First, customer service. We hold ourselves accountable for giving each individual patient a positive healthcare experience. The results? In an inpatient satisfaction survey from the end of 2011, Ashley Regional scored better than 70% of U.S. hospitals. Second, quality is following nationally recognized clinical standards. The leading organization in America for setting and monitoring quality standards is the Joint Commission.
In fact, Medicare uses a Joint Commission to ensure that its policies and rules are in effect, to protect patient safety as well as improve treatment results.
Ashley Regional Medical Center has been Joint Commission accredited since 1996 and is the only hospital in Northeast Utah accredited by the Joint Commission.
So what does this mean to you? When you need hospital care, you can be confident that Ashley Regional is committed to and delivers quality care to you and your loved one.
Welcome back to Local Point. Joining me is Don DeCamp and Derek Larson of the Boy Scouts of America. Isn't that a great way to be introduced?
Great.
Love it.
And we talked a little bit in the first segment about the Friends of Scouting program and the drive that happens this time of the year to encourage people to make donations. We also said we're going to talk about Roundtable. Tell me what that is, because that's Knights to me and Camelot.
Well, you know, it's a perfect way introduction. Magic King invents this way of teaching his leaders how to become better leaders of his people. That is what Roundtable is even now. We offer a furthering education and scouting to the leaders. It's called Roundtable. We meet on the third Thursday of each month, 7:30, at the LDS Chapel just north of the hospital. And we offer advanced courses in teaching Scout ethics, Scout camping skills, Scout teaching skills. So this is specifically for the leaders to attend, and it offers them the tools they need to become the very leaders that influenced us in our younger lives. We want the very best in our leaders, and this is one of those tools that we can provide them to teach these boys to be great men.
About how many leaders do we have in this area?
Give that one to you, Derek.
Well, typically we've got about 35 chartered organizations or organizations that have chosen to adopt Scouting as their program. And keeping that in mind, there's 4 programs in each organization: the pack troop, the team, and the crew. So a leader in each of those organizations times 2 gives you 8. 8 times 35 is roughly.
Don't look at me.
280.
It's a pretty large number, right?
280, yeah.
But either way, you know, roughly 250 to 300 leaders locally.
And when we say locally, what are we talking about? Is this we film here in Vernal, but we also have viewers in Roosevelt and Duchesne and the whole Uintah Basin.
Double that number
outside.
then.
Right.
So you're talking about Vernal.
Right, we're talking about Vernal.
Vernal.
However, the same exists in Roosevelt. That's the Kings Peak district. And they have some unbelievably marvelous leadership over on their side of the tracks.
But they have their own round table,
They
a
have
separate
their own
round
roundtable.
table
They
thing.
do.
So
Exactly.
if our viewers are in that area, then they would want to contact a local scout
Right.
organization and find
Their
out. when
round
they're
tables
in.
typically is the second Thursday of the month.
Ah.
And currently they're meeting at the LDS Chapel in Mighton.
Well, there you go. So there's information there as well. All right, and yours again is, just repeat the time. So
The third Thursday of every month begins at 7:30 p.m. at the LDS Chapel just north of Ashley Valley Regional Medical Center.
now, when you say it's at the LDS Chapel, are all of these organizations affiliated in some way with the LDS Church? Are there some non-LDS
There are some non-LDS.
organizations as well? But that's where the meeting place is. Everybody meets there. For
Majority of
roundtable.
the units locally are sponsored by the LDS Church.
I know it is a big part of the LDS Church, but I figured there must be outside as well.
Yes, so we have some community units that participate.
Oh, that's wonderful.
In years past, we've had several others, and we're trying to reinstitute those. The Elks Club, for example, has had sponsored a troop in the past. I don't believe they're doing it right now.
Actually, the Elks Lodge has, they've got a troop and a pack right now.
So they're on board.
Well, there are a lot of scouts and a lot of those of us who have been through the program, lots of leaders and people who continue to lead. What is the impact? I mean, why is it so important to a community to have the scouting program? I mean, we've got a strong one here in our area, the whole basin, it sounds like.
We do.
I had a great conversation just a couple of days ago with a bootmaker in town, Randy Merrill. He's a marvelous man. And in the course of our conversation, he asked me if I'd ever been involved in a truly great brotherhood. And I pondered for just a second or two, and then I realized that one of the greatest brotherhoods that I'd ever had the honor of being in was my old scout troop for so many years ago. I can still remember the names of all those men. I can remember the name of my scoutmaster. I can remember those things that we did to accomplish unbelievable things as young men.
Because it shaped you
yes.
into who you are today.
I mentioned to Randy, I remember a time when I was a very little guy, couldn't carry my pack any farther. One of the older boys grabbed it and put it on his shoulders.
And you still remember that.
And I remember that, and I remember his name, and to the best of my knowledge, he never mentioned it to anybody.
What was Randy fishing for? Why did he ask such a question?
Randy's also a leader of young men, so I'm sure he was.
So he was kind of along the same lines as well.
We were fishing for ways to improve scouting.
Right.
And he was asking me, but it sure caused me a lot of reflection as I thought about those great men and peers that influenced my life as a very young man.
Right. And Derek, off camera, we were talking about a little bit more about the impact scouting has had on you. And I could see you nodding the whole time that Don was talking there, the impact that scouting has had on all of us. And maybe not just those who have been through the program, but I think my mother would have attested to that as well, about how important it was to her. In fact, recently I just found her the neckerchief I got when I was a scout that was presented to her. So love to have the scouts on here. Hope all the leaders show up for Roundtable. And I hope people open up those pocketbooks for the Friends of Scouting program. Thank you both for coming on the show today.
Thank you, sir, very much.
And thank you for watching. Thanks. That's all we have for today. Please join us next time right here on VTV Channel 7.